Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 8 lecture. So guys, today we're going to be talking about the introduction for this chapter, and this chapter is going to include pedigree analysis, and then we're going to talk about different chromosomes that are there in our cells, like autosomal chromosomes and sex-linked chromosome. And then we're going to talk about genetic disorders in our next video. Okay, so in this video, guys, let's get started with our pedigree analysis. What does that mean? What is it used for? So guys, it's like a family tree that we draw, but this one is a little special. This is called pedigree, and what's special is that here each thing here, like box or circle, some are shaded, some are not shaded, they all mean something. Okay, so let's start with these Roman numerals that you see on the left hand side. So this represents the generation number. So generation number 1 is represented by Roman numeral 1, 2 is the next generation, and 3 is the third generation. Okay, so all these are then the members. So in the first generation, you got member number 1, member number 2, member number 3, and 4, and so on. Again, on generation number 2, you start the numbering again. So this number 1 is the first member in the second generation, and then you go to third generation. It also has many members going from 1 through 6. Okay, so the next thing that we got to know is each shape means something. A square actually means a male, and a circle represents female. Okay, and also another important thing is that you can see that some of the boxes, some of the shapes here are shaded. They can be either colored or shaded. Actually means the same thing. So when they're shaded or when they have a color, that means they are the affected individuals. On the other hand, if you see this one, which is either blue in color, or this could have been left blank without any shade, that will be an unaffected individual. So let's say if you're talking about a disease, then this person does not have that disease, whereas this person who is colored or shaded, or these two people here, colored or shaded, they have a disease, so they are affected. Okay, all right. So now let's see if we can now analyze a few things. So if I ask you here that in the first generation, who is affected, and tell me the gender. So what you will say is, in the very first generation, you will write it like this. You will say that generation 1, so you will show the Roman number 1, and then you will put a dash, and then you will say 2. So one generation, member number 2 is the one who is affected. Okay, is the affected individual. Now the other thing that you can also tell from here is that that person is a female. How can you tell that? Because that person is being represented by a circle, so that means the female. Now you can see in the second generation, no one has any trouble, does not get affected. But then we can actually go into the third generation and see that not everyone is affected, but these two people are. And if I ask you, is this person male or female, you should be able to tell that this is male. And if this person is male or female, you should be able to tell that this is female. Okay, so in this particular example, we're talking about cystic fibrosis. So if we ask you, does either parent of these two children have cystic fibrosis? So if you're talking about these two kids, are their parents affected by cystic fibrosis? Then your answer is going to be no, because this is not shaded or it's not colored red. Okay, so these two individuals are unaffected. Okay, this person also unaffected. Okay, all right. So now let's go and talk about karyotype. Let's learn what do we mean by karyotype. So guys, you have heard of the word karyo when we were learning prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So karyo basically means nucleus. So if we figure out that inside the nucleus we got these chromosomes, so this particular karyotype, this is a human karyotype. How can we tell that this is a human karyotype? So we can see here that we have total, if you see carefully, we got total 23 pairs of chromosomes. We got 23 pairs of chromosome, or we can also say that we got 46 chromosomes total. 46 chromosomes in total. Now there's something special here. What you can see is that you can see all these are numbered, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, and then you can stop here at 22. So you got 22 regular chromosomes, and then we got this here, this special chromosome, and guys, this chromosome right here is the sex-linked chromosome, okay? And this is the one which is responsible for giving the sex to male or female, so it's the one who decides whether a baby is going to be male or female, okay? So if this particular one here, if you've heard of this before, probably you have. So you can see X and Y. So X and Y represents that this person is a male. So this karyotype, this cell, belongs to a male because we got X and Y chromosome. If this was X and X, this will be considered a female. Okay, so we can see that we have in total 23 pairs of chromosomes. Inside that 23 pairs, we got 22 pairs of chromosomes, which are the regular chromosomes, and they're called autosomal. Okay, autosomal chromosomes. You got to know that terminology. And then we got this one pair, which is called the sex-linked, or the sex chromosomes. So you got autosomal chromosomes and sex chromosomes. All right. Now, let's go to our next figure and see how is the sex decided in a baby. How do we know if a baby is going to be a male or a female? So guys, what you're going to look here is we're going to see this mother and then a father. What we can say is if it's the mother, then we know that their karyotype is going to be XX. So if you look at a female karyotype, it's going to be all these autosomal chromosomes, 22 of them, but the last one is going to be X and X, and that's what we are focusing on right now in this example. So we can see this is XX, and then the male, of course, is going to be X and Y. Now, when the meiosis is going to happen, if you've watched the video, or if you've learned what meiosis is, in meiosis, we change our cells into haploid cells, and these are the gametes. So we have male produced 2 gametes, so father produced 2, and then the mother produced 2 gametes, X and X, father produced X, and Y. Okay, now we can see here what happens. So guys, this is what the Punnett Square is. Now we've talked about this in the previous video on how you can draw a Punnett Square. So we're gonna put one gamete on top of one of the box, and then the second gamete on top of the other box. So this is the male side. This is coming from father, and from the mother we are putting X and X. So from the eggs we got X, and the second option we got is also X, because we know that both the gametes produced by mother are X and X. So now if you try to do the combinations, we can see in the first box we're going to combine this X with this X, and we get XX. In the second box we get a Y from here, and then we get an X from here, and then we get XY. And then in this box on the left hand side we get an X, and then we get this X. Alright, and then on the right hand side we get X from here, and then we get a Y from here, and we make XY. So if I ask you how many males and females are produced here, you can tell that this XX is going to be a female. Okay, we also know this XX is going to be a female. We know this is XY, so this is going to be a male, and this is also XY, this is going to be a male. So we can actually tell that there's a 50-50% chance of getting a female or a male. So getting a daughter or getting a mother, getting a son, there's a 50-50% chance. Okay, we can see that in case of gulls, they inherit X from mom and X from dad, whereas in the case of boys, the X will always come from mother, because there's Y here, and that Y can only come from dad. Okay, of course mother does not have Y, so it's the father's Y chromosome which is responsible for making this boy a boy. Okay, so that's where your chromosomes are coming from. Okay, all right. Now, what makes Y chromosome so special? Also, we actually can go back and look at the karyotype. We can notice that X chromosome is like a full-length chromosome like other chromosomes, but we can see that the Y is a very, very small chromosome. Also, you can see as we're going to these chromosomes at the end, they are actually small in size. Smaller size actually means that there are going to be lesser number of genes in them. Okay, so Y, we're coming back to our sex-linked chromosomes. So there's X and Y is very small, and you can see that. Now, what is special with Y? The Y chromosome has this gene, and you should be aware of this name. So there's this gene called SRY, and this stands for sex determining region of Y. Okay, so in the Y chromosome there's this gene called, so if this is Y chromosome, there's a gene called SRY, which is like the master sex switch. So this, if this is there, if the gene is present, then this is the one who is going to cause a male to become a male. So this is the gene that is responsible for making a male a male. Okay, so a default sex, guys, in humans is actually female because there's no SRY gene in them. When you have Y chromosome, the Y chromosome, it actually comes with SRY gene, and this gene is the switch for turning on the male characteristics in a male. Okay, so it's a switch that turns on the characteristics of a male. Okay, so what's going to happen is that this SRY gene is going to tell, so you can imagine here in the karyotype, that if there's a gene sitting on the Y chromosome, it's going to tell all other chromosomes to behave such that it's going to make products like proteins are going to be made inside a male, which is going to be responsible for making an individual a male. Okay, right. So after this, guys, we're going to talk about this last thing on this part of the lecture in this video. Is we're going to look at two chromosomes. So imagine this is chromosome number 1. So for chromosome number 1, we got two chromosomes, of course, because we got pair of chromosome. You got this from your mom and this from your dad, or vice versa. So let's say this is chromosome number 1. This could have been any one. Let's just assume it's chromosome number 1, and this is you got this from your mother, and this one you got from your father. So what we're trying to say here is that your chromosome is built up of DNA, of course, and then there are genes present. So let's say that this section of your chromosome is responsible for a specific trait. Okay, and let's say that trait is having brown color eyes. Okay, so this gene right here is responsible for giving you your brown eyes color. Okay, so we're gonna call that, let's say, capital B. We're gonna denote each gene by a letter, and then this version is called allele. Okay, now on this homologous chromosome, guys, these are homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosome, what you're going to see is that this another chromosome on the exact same position has a similar gene, which is also responsible for, of course, the eye color. Now this could be giving you a brown eye color, or this could be giving you a blue eye color. So a presence of pigment will give you brown eye. If there's no pigment being produced, then it's going to give you a blue eye. Okay, so we can show that by a small b. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to represent this. A second. Okay, so we're going to represent this by a small b. Now this is just an assumption. This could have been capital B, or this could be small b. This could have been capital B. This could have been small b. So this is another allele of the same trait. So guys, trait is the eye color. Okay, and then the allele possibles are allele capital B or small b. Okay, now there are three possibilities basically. this could have been capital B small b, that's one option. This could have been capital B small b, that's option number 1. The second option could have been that this was capital B and this was also capital B. So capital B and capital B. The third option, as you guys can guess, will be that both of them are small b and small b. Okay, so these are 3 different possibilities, and we got to know that what are all these called. Okay, so where is this? Just to keep it clear. So we're gonna call this one heterozygous. Hetero, as you know, means different. Heterozygous. Okay. I misspelled this. Sorry about that. Heterozygous. And then both of these are homozygous. The last 2 are homozygous. Homo means same. So homozygous, and this is also, sorry about that again, this is also homozygous. So guys, if the 2 alleles are different, then we call them heterozygous. If they're same, we call them homozygous. But you can see we got to give one more one more naming to these 2, so you can differentiate these 2. The first one, which is capital B, is known as homozygous dominant, because you can see that both the alleles are capital B, so both are dominant, whereas in this case both of these are recessive. So this one, the last option, is homozygous recessive. So guys, you should be able to understand this nomenclature and be able to use this nomenclature very confidently for your quizzes and exams, and it's going to help you in your better understanding of genetics. Okay, so make sure you guys follow this video, and then guys, make sure you watch the next video as well, which is going to be talking about the genetic disorders. Okay, thank you guys.